Alright, in the previous step we spoken about the void start and void wake. At this step we wanted to talk about another famous function in Unity which called void update and also his brother void fixed update. Imagine we want to have a loop in our script. For example, in the past, we have spoken about the void awake, void start, and also void public void test function. If we want to check test function every time, okay, if we want to, for example, in the void start, we want to call this function, but repeating every time, we have several ways, but these ways are not consistent and also are not per frame. But void update and also fixed update, they are exactly like a loop, and everything you will write inside this closure here, they will repeat every time non-stop. However, if you want to stop them, you need to add an if and limit them by a condition. But without any condition, they will work every time in your scene. Okay, but there's a difference between the amount of repeating between void update and fixed update. First, let me introduce void update to you. Void update is a function for repeating and doing the orders per frame. It may be during the game developments, or even the video games. You have heard the FPS is equal 60, or FPS is equal 120 or 30. It doesn't matter. FPS, it means frame per second, and FPS equals 50 and 60, it means 60 times per second, or 60 frames have been rendered in 1 second. Okay, the good the smooth game without any lag has better FPS. So the better the powerful computer or laptop or mobile phone can render more frames per second. Void update will do all the processes and the script is on that in every frame per second. For example, I wrote here print this just this number. Okay, doing this line of code. Okay, if my FPS is equal 60, this function in 1 second 60 times repeating. Okay, but imagine you are in the cave in your game. So the cave is a small area and it doesn't have any light. So the rendering this scene for your computer or for your mobile is easy. So the FPS is better. So this line of the void update will repeating without any problem. Okay, but if your camera moves to the somewhere in the jungle, okay, there are a lot of trees and planets and animals and lights and shadows, clouds or ambient sounds, so rendering at that moment is harder than inside the cave. So FPS it goes down a little bit. For example, FPS won't be 60. For example, it will be something like 55, frame per second. So this line on the jungle will be repeating 55 times per second, but in the cave it's gonna done 60 times per second. Okay, because it is relied on the frames For excuse me, for the all functions or orders non-physics functions, it's better to use void update. For example, you want to get an input from the user whenever the user wants to press a key. Okay, input dot key down. Oh, sorry. Key. Oh, sorry. Kcode.s, for example, print. Okay, this is s. Okay. For getting input from the user, it's better to use void update because it is faster than others. Okay? And also, whenever you want to move your object without using gravity or physics or rigid body, okay, it's better to use void update. For example, transform dot translate translate 0 1 0. It moves your object to the y1 to the up, okay, 60 times per second. Okay, it's better to use in this line inside the void update. It moves your object without using physics library such as rigid body or other things or add force or whatever. Okay, it's better to use this one. So for non-physical objects or the functions for getting input from the user by keyboard, by mouse, by joystick, by touch, it's better to use void update. Okay, this is void update. But what is the difference between void update and his brother fixed update? The fixed, and as far as I mentioned, time of the repeating the orders, the lines, per second is different in void update. For example, sometimes 55 times, sometimes 60 times, sometimes 30 times, it doesn't matter. But in the fixed update, in fact, the fixed update is the void update with consistent repeating. It means it doesn't matter what is the status of the rendering. Every time the amount of repeating in fixed update is the same. So every time, for example, it is, 20 times per second. Whenever we are in the cave or whenever we are in the jungle, it's repeating, for example, 30 times per second. That's it. For this reason, the Unity library suggests that use fixed update for moving an object by physics. For example, you have rigid body. Imagine rigid body, okay, and you want to do something like add force or other functions or changing the gravity or changing anything or moving an object with other solutions with physics. Okay, it's better to use fixed update because fixed update has the certain amount of repeating per second. Okay, for example, let's remove these guys, and here we have this guy. Print update time plus time.delta time. Time.delta time is the time of between each repeating inside the void update. And in here, fixed time plus time.delta time. Now I want to save and come back to the Unity. Here in the main camera, I'm adding part 9. It is this script, part 9, and Make sure, guys, you select the collapse, because the collapse helps you to keep the similar messages in one line. Okay, now I'm stopping here. Look at this. The difference time dot delta time between void update from this millisecond and this millisecond is different. Look at this. 0.0034849, but here 0.0031091, and here it is different. Guys, 685 times, because the first one is for fixed update. 685 times different between time dot delta time in void update. This is the difference between void update and fixed update. Fixed update 163 times. Look at this, it is slower than void update, because void update has been repeated 685 times. But fixed update has been repeated only 163 times, but consistent. Look at this. All the time dot delta time was 0.02. So, as far as I mentioned, void update is faster than fixed update, but it is not consistent. Sometimes it is slower, sometimes it is faster. But fixed update is always consistent. However, it is slower than void update. Okay, let's go to the next step.